My dear friends, I'm very happy to be here. It is a joy for me to be able to be united in the spirit. Thanks also to this technology. Today's talk is called The Path of Works. The Path of Works. We are at the spiritual level, and sorry, because I think there is too much reflection. Yes, better. And the path, or the purpose of the spiritual path is no other than union with God, with mankind, with all creation. So we have been before, meditating upon the path of knowledge, also the path of love, and now the path of works. So the point is how our works, our actions, helping in our spiritual life. How should we, look at our good deeds or bad deeds? And I think that this issue is a very, I will say, nuclear, core issue. And it has been the object of tremendous fights and controversies. If you remember at the mythic level, this is a most important issue. And basically, the way the problem is posed is that God is taking, an account, as in a ledger, of our good actions and bad actions. And at the end of the day, He is going to give us a reward for our good and also to punish us for our bad actions. As simple as that. Because if you remember, God is fair. God is good. God is a father, but fair. And He is going to reward the good people and punish those who are not good, the bad. Good people will go to heaven and bad people will go to hell. And this way of presenting things is simple. Simple and clear. And even kids, they can understand. But we have been there. We have experienced that. And we also, you remember, we mentioned how that simple model lasted only for a while, and then we have to leave it behind, and move to a rational level. So I resume. At the mythic level, the interest or the purpose or the objective of doing good things is for our salvation. So it's a kind of spiritual selfishness, spiritual egoism. At the rational level, this perspective somehow, has been upgraded. And people are not so afraid of hell. And people are not so afraid of God as a judge. They take God as a friend. So, what they want is to be special, to be important, to leave a name, to accomplish something. We even talk about the immortality project. Who are you? Who are you? You may ask someone in his 30s, 40s. Who are you? This is a threatening question. If you ask a child at the age of 4 or 5, it is a very innocent question. Even, a teenager. But when you ask someone 30, 40s, who are you? You may say the name. Okay, second question. What do you do? What do you do for a living? And automatically, after you respond, the person is going, to place you in a rank. Oh, you are important, or you are no one. So I insist, at the rational level, we want to achieve a position, status, a sense of importance. Even in the church. That is why when bishops are appointed, they receive plenty of congratulations. When you get a promotion, let us call it a promotion in the church, you are promoted or you have been appointed as parish priest, people are going to congratulate you because you have become someone. Funny, right? But this is the way it is. Somehow mirroring the ways of the world. I insist, at the rational level, the main concern may not be salvation or damnation, but to be someone. That is salvation. And what is damnation is to be ignored, to be irrelevant, to be no one. So people strive and fight very hard. You remember in the last talk, I mentioned about those relatives of mine, who really wanted to be someone, and their struggle, their race didn't stop. So, and then now we are at the spiritual level. What is the purpose? What is the reason? How are actions, at the spiritual level, as compared with actions at the mythic and the rational level? I have many ideas in my mind, so I'm going to just let them flow, okay? I may not be so systematic, but I really hope that I can make some sense. The best example for me of the spiritual works, spiritual action, the best example is the prayer of Saint Francis Assisi. Make me a channel of your peace. Here we have everything we need to understand how are spiritual actions. So the goal of the spiritual person is to be an instrument of God, an instrument of the Holy Spirit. But not any instrument, but a suitable instrument. The person at the mythic level and also at the spiritual, at the rational level, they do not want to be instruments. They want to be, center, the center of everything. They want to take all the credit. They want to be important. But, you see, at the spiritual level, the person assumes naturally a second position of humility. I don't want you to be the main agent. I only want to be an instrument. Also, the spiritual person understands that the ultimate goodness, the ultimate peace, the ultimate kindness does not come from me. Why? Because it's true. I can be kind. I can be nice. But my kindness, my goodness, does not last very long. They do not last so long. Typically, I maybe get frustrated or disappointed and then gone. I think we have been talking about that. So the spiritual person knows very well that if it is just about me, my kindness, my goodness, my goodwill, my good intentions, this will not last long. I have experienced also this myself, And this is something I would like to share with you, although it is embarrassing for me. But I want to share with you, in any case, so that you may understand that at the spiritual level, we accept at face value that we are not so much. I experienced that when I was very young, 24, 25 years old. And then I think I have already mentioned that I was, getting out from a horrible, extremely painful breakdown. I was tired, I was exhausted. And then gently, slowly, little by little, I started to recover. Also during that time, I also started to study. So during holidays, I was really tired. I remember, I used to be in my hometown. And I knew that the parish priests, in my hometown, they will expect me, naturally, that I will, offer myself to help celebrating masses, whatever, But I didn't do it. Instead, I stayed at home and rested. Why didn't I do it? Because it was not my duty. My duty was not to help them in their parish life. My duty was in my convent. I was allowed some time to rest. And I knew that doing so, my reputation, as a good priest, of course, will disappear in my hometown. But I had to make a choice. And I decided to take care of myself. I don't regret that, and I will do always the same. Because I insist, I don't want to prove to anyone, not even to myself, that I am wonderful. That I will, absolutely sacrifice myself. No, because I insist, I will do if it is necessary, or if it is my duty, but it was not. So you see, even at the spiritual level, we understand that there are limits, and also that our strength, that our energies are limited. This is something that has always been, a burden in my life. How much I would have liked to be so strong, always powerful, always full of energy, but for many years, the experience was actually the opposite. Sometimes I was sick, sometimes I was easily tired, and I had to deal with that, So make me a channel of your peace, understanding, that the salvation we want to bring into the world, ultimately, is way far beyond us. We are just the instruments. And here again comes to my mind the wonderful example of Mary and Abraham. Abraham, you remember, an old man. How can an old man be spiritual? How can an old man bring anything good or bring salvation? Just by faith. And then this old man, even he tried his best, and he had a son, but God said, good, you have had a son, but I will give you another one with your wife, a son that comes from human emptiness, human powerlessness. I want that son, not the one that you have made by your own effort. Make me a channel, an instrument of your peace. Why? What is the motivation of Saint Francis of Assisi? What is the motivation? Is it to bargain with God? This could be, dear God, help me to be a channel of your peace make me a channel of your peace, so that I will have plenty of good works, so you will be very proud of me. And then I will have my way, and also my position, my place in heaven. Was it his motivation? Or, dear God, make me a channel of your peace, because I want to be important, I want to be famous, I want to be a saint, I want to be called St. Francis, and everybody will know me, and everybody will love me, and everybody will sing my song. I also hope that my life will be in a song. Please, help me to do that. I want to be important. I want to be a beautiful saint. I want to be St. Francis. Do you think that St. Francis will talk to God like that? I don't think so. So then, why St. Francis will talk to the Lord? God, please, make me a channel of your peace. And the answer is simple. Because St. Francis had a heart full of love, so much kindness, so much compassion, so sensitive. He was a poet, he was an artist. And he wanted, to spread around God's love, God's beauty, God's gentleness, God's forgiveness, God's peace, because he cared so much. Because he was wounded, you remember, he was wounded. He had the stigmata, the same as Jesus, because of the pain of the world that he saw around him. So the spiritual person is deeply motivated, but not by spiritual egoism, by spiritual selfishness. He doesn't care to go to heaven or to go to hell, truly. Also, he doesn't care about being important, but he cares so much, so very much about the happiness, the well-being, the pain, the sorrow, the ignorance of his brothers and sisters. So this is the core of the spiritual action. A yearning, a bleeding heart, tenderness. So here we share, the same heart of Jesus when the Gospel said Jesus was moved by compassion when he saw the crowds, they were lost. And then he said, please, ask the master of the harvest, to send laborers to take care. So this is the spiritual person, a person who is wounded, really wounded by the pain of the world. And then he wants to alleviate the pain, the suffering of others. That is the spiritual person, and these are spiritual actions. But how are these actions, somehow put into practice? How are these actions, made concrete, made real? This is also a very important question, because I will say that the spiritual actions are enlightened. They are not just prompted, by a kind of restlessness or a sense of guilt. For instance, I am a priest, so I am supposed to be God's servant, but I enjoy good living, good life, truly. I have food, I have shelter, I have affection, I have love, so I have everything, and it shouldn't be so, because I am a priest, I am God's servant, and instead there are other people who are suffering so much. So, oh my goodness, I feel restless. I feel guilty. I feel I should do something to alleviate my guilt. So I don't know. I will start. I don't know, doing something. Maybe go to the poor people here in Hong Kong to do something. This is not enlightened action, because it is prompted, by guilt. And I don't mean that people, when they are prompted by guilt or by another, I will say, less than a spiritual motive, their actions couldn't be good. Or even there are people who want to feel great about themselves, and then they do things. But ultimately, this activity may create trouble, either in you or in others. For instance, let us say that I have magnificent projects, to save the world. But if people do not accept my projects, then I will be so resentful, so pissed off, so angry. Enlightened action is not like that. This is something that we will talk more and more. Chinese people, Chinese philosophy, they have two words to describe how is this enlightened action. Wu Wei, Mo Wai. That is nearly impossible to translate, but describes the kind of action that is beyond the ego, beyond this restlessness, this agitation, this anxiety. In the gospel, this is somehow portrayed in the episode when Jesus was with Martha and Mary, Martha and Mary. You know the story very well. Jesus, you don't care or what? You see my sister here, so lazy. Just doing nothing, where I am so busy and no one takes care of the things and no one helps me. And Jesus somehow gently rebuked Martha. Martha, Martha, you are so busy, concerned about many things. Only one is necessary. Only one is necessary. And Martha has been smart enough to choose the best part, and it will not be taken away from her. What is then this only necessary thing? I believe that in the past it has been understood that this only necessary thing is just like that, contemplate. But contemplate in the sense of pure inaction, pure passivity, pure doing nothing. Looking at Jesus and stay quiet. Don't move. Just doing nothing. Total passivity. And then the opposite is the life of activity. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this kind of, separation, because enlightened action is a very active repose, and also a very quiet action. Active repose and quiet action. It's not about doing many things. And of course, it is not to be always quiet, because there is this amazing, dynamism that fluid is so fluid, you know, that from the repose also comes the action, and the action, you know, goes back to the repose. It is not just fixed or rigid repose, or it is not very agitated action. It is enlightened action. As far as we can tell, you know, the action, the activity of Martha was not enlightened. We don't mean that it was not moved by goodwill, by all means, by good intentions, yes. But you know, Chinese philosophy, Taoism, you know, they are so much aware of this. That is why they call the non-action, insisting that it's an action that does not come from the ego, from the desire to change things, from the desire to bring about change, to fix things, to save the world, you know, to mess. No. That is not Wu Wei. The true enlightened action is gentle, and typically is hidden. You wouldn't even notice. You may not be even aware. By all means, that person does not want to be someone, does not want to stand out, goes hidden, goes unnoticed. This is one of the privileges of the spiritual person, a kind of invisibility. Doesn't mind, just doing his quiet thing, his quiet life with love, but maybe no one will know, and this will you know, terrify the rational person, because if nobody knows, it's like I have done nothing. It's like, you know, like raining in the sea. What is the purpose? If I do something, but if it is not published, if it is not advertised, if it is not known, what is the point? But the spiritual person is so happy, so contented to do things, to be an instrument of God's peace, unnoticed. The purpose is not to foster the ego, to fuel the ego, to fuel my sense of importance. No, it is just to love God, to alleviate suffering, to bring about some relief, to spread gentleness, in sometimes a way that will be despised by others, because I insist, you know, in many occasions the works done spiritually are not relevant, will never appear, you know, in these reports, will not stand out, hidden. Only God will know. Not only God, the person who may receive it. Smile, a gentle gaze, a touch, can touch not only the mind, but also the soul and the heart. May God bless you.